Hey, I'm Melissa Janae. I am the creative director of Wake Studios and the editor and curator of Wake Magazine. And I filmed a last video, which was about my journey into fashion and like the kind of journey that led into me making this magazine. So if you haven't seen that, I suggest that you go for a little backstory on this video. But in this video, I'm going to be talking about how I made my first magazine. I have two first magazines. I have my school project first, and I have my official first sell to people in stores. And I kind of just want to sit and go through my thought process, because I edit these magazines and I curate them and I make them, but I don't actually read them. And sometimes it bothers me that I'm not a customer of my brand in that way. I wish that I could experience Wick outside of myself and go into a store, see it for the first time and feel seen, but I'm probably more proud to be the maker of it than to be the consumer. Yeah, let's get into it. So this is my child, my literal child. It takes me 6 months to birth each child. She is gorgeous. She is almost a year old, which is psychotic because I feel like I just had her yesterday. This issue is called A Common Thread, and I want to get into the visuals of the issue first, I guess, before I talk through it. But I want to quickly start off by saying how I made the first issue. I reference this old issue that I did for my BA in my degree. I reference this a lot. I picked it apart, and the stuff that I didn't like about it, which is a lot, I told myself that this official issue, it was going to be different. The font was going to be more readable. It was going to be smaller. The art direction was going to be better. The photographs were going to be just less crazy and just more, the entire magazine was going to be minimal. It was going to be minimal, luxurious, tropical, African, Caribbean. It was just going to be cleaner, but still with personality. And I really tried to do that for this first issue. I also told myself that the branding and the visual language needs to be consistent. So in terms of the font and the color palette of the branding itself, maybe I'll just do a separate video on branding, because if I add that into this video, it would be way too long, and just go through my business cards and the uniformity of everything, the pitch decks, all of it. Let's get into the actual. So the font, I picked this font from about 2 years before I made this magazine, so I decided to stay true to that. Actually, I lie. This was the font that I picked, and I felt like the peak in the W was too sharp, but I really liked the chunk of it, and so I wanted to find something that was similar. And so I picked this font, and this has become our logo type thing. And all the issues look like this. Everything that we do has this font, and obviously that's for uniformity, branding, whatever. When I was designing the cover for this issue, I took a lot of art inspiration from Art Deco and Art Nouveau. I was in Paris and Amsterdam, and I was very into the Art Nouveau of it all, the Art Deco of it all, but I've always been an Art Deco girl. And so I focused on that. I looked heavily into books and buildings of old Miami and South Beach and old Paris and stuff like that, of Art Deco things. And I really liked, you can't really tell that that's the influence, but now that I say it, maybe you can. That was what I went for, and now all the magazines look like this. But the colors obviously change, the font color changes, and the picture in the middle obviously changes. I decided when making this issue that I did not want to have any faces, any people in the cover, on the cover. I strictly wanted it to be art or photography or something abstract. And that is because of timelessness and collectability. This is made to be an archive. I have designed this to be an archive, and I'll go in more depth in the other video. But I really wanted this to be timeless, and I feel like people add a dating vibe, whether that's their hairstyle or their makeup. Something about people dates a cover. And so I really wanted it to be artsy. this collage I made myself, and I just took a bunch of like different elements that I felt fit a common thread. So a common thread is the start of the project. It is about the connections between African and Caribbean diasporas and the Afro diaspora at large, and like us as people and like our connections, because I felt like we were so separated. But I am proud of, I did what I could with what I could. This is the when you open it, this is how it looks. Just the common thread. I wanted it to be very minimal, very simple. I love these color combos that I picked for this particular issue. I'm just so proud of how this turned out. This first issue is just really solid. I'm really proud of it. I also did like an introduction with myself rather than, like, I decided for the first issue to have a picture, have the introduction, then the upcoming issues just not have my picture and not have any introduction, just talk normal. But I just felt like I needed to kind of introduce. There are some things that I've decided to keep consistent, like the cultural reset is going to be at the start of all magazines, so that's going to be consistent. The proverb at the beginning, or the quote at the beginning, is also going to be very consistent. So there's some things that are going to stay uniform so that all the issues kind of align. The interview format, like this, with the name and the quote, that is going to stay the same, but I don't know, I might change the like layouts a little bit, but this just looks so clean and beautiful, and I really need to like tap into that for this next issue because it's driving me mad. Like issue 3 is driving me mad. I did these 2 shoots in about 6 hours, 5 hours. This is The Land We Live In, Move On. And the next issue is Cut From The Same Cloth. And Cut From The Same Cloth is probably the best work that I have done photography wise to date. Like, this is my favorite shoot ever. If I could get this on a poster, I would. Like, I probably will order a poster. I'm so proud of this. From the styling to the editing to the photography, like I did all of it. And I'm so proud of how this came out, because when I tell you guys, when this shoot was happening and the studio situation, I thought that it was all lost. Like, I thought all was lost. And then I started to edit and I started to play around, and I was like, oh my God, this is great. Even the styling process for this was hell on earth. I stayed up until midnight, several nights, trying to figure out a proper like clothing story for this. And it's times like these where I'm glad that I'm a stylist on my own terms and I'm not a stylist, which you'll know the lore behind that if you watched the first video. But yeah, I included QR codes and collages, and I actually think I'm gonna look back on this issue for inspiration of the one I'm working on now, issue 3, because it's normally the midway crisis that I'm always in. In the middle of an issue, I kind of spiral out and think that everything's gone to hell, and then after like 2 weeks, everything's fine. So that's kind of where I'm at. But this work I'm so proud of it. I went out and did interviews, I did shoots, I just filled the page, I hustled, I wrote poems, I painted artwork. Like, I did so much to fill these pages, and I think now I'm kind of in a space where I don't want to do all of that work. But that just shows like where my mind was at when I made this. Like, I was on a grind, like I had to get it done. Let's talk about how. Art direction, I mainly just played around. I played around with layouts. I would like draw layouts sometimes on my phone. And that's kind of how I came up with like layouts, the like formation. I choose like a storytelling approach with my layouts, so each page that follows the next, it's very intentional. If you read the publication and you read one page and then you read the next page and you see how, oh, this connects to, that's very intentional. The like literal story within the story is very intentional to my magazine. That's how I like to do things. If it has no story, it has no purpose to me, and I don't really like creative pollution. I like to make things that mean something. In terms of submissions and content, I did a lot of outreach. I still do a lot of outreach. I will find people and reach out to them directly and be like, I love your work. Are you interested in submitting? Like, it's really like that. I also would go to a lot of exhibitions. I do a lot of art analyses and reviews and stuff like that to fill pages. In terms of the actual build of the magazine, that was something that was very hit or miss in terms of like GSM and paperweight and stuff like that. Because I ordered online, I could not physically feel how heavy these pages were, so I had to just take a guess. I believe that this covers 120 GSM, and I believe the pages are like 70 GSM or something. It's quite a light magazine. And then for the second issue, I ended up going for like 150 GSM or something insane, and it ended up being too thick, and the spine is just kind of weak from how thick the pages are. And so that is one thing, one learning curve that I've like faced with making these issues, is the paperweight and trying to like figure out, like if I can't feel anything, trying to guesstimate like how it would appear in the issues. I ideally love a magazine that's in between these sizes, because this is way too thick and this is a little too thin. But yeah, that is kind of what it was like to go through this process. Just a lot of like research, a lot of notes. How I make these magazines as well is like I go through an immersion process. So luckily for the first issue, I didn't really have to do that because the theme was a common thread, and so there was no specific immersion thing that I really had to like go through. But I had to embody a lot of roles in this first issue, and like I try to be the kind of creative director that can do a little bit of everything. Like if it needs to get done, I will get it done. Like if we need a makeup artist, I will figure it out. If we need a model, I will step in. Like I'm very hands-on like that. And I just found myself having to fill a lot of roles for the first issue, and I tested my creativity in ways that I never have. Like I was an artist, I was an editor, I was a creative director, I was a poet, I was a photographer, I was a stylist, I was a producer, I was a movement director, I was like a PR person. The first issue was definitely like that set the tone for the rest of Wick in terms of not just the branding and like setting the tone literally, but like setting the tone for what I need to be prepared for, and like tactics and how I advertise it and everything that is possible from just the first issue. And like now that it's a year on, all of the things that continue to be possible. And I think there's something to be said about ease as well. As difficult and as hard work as you put in, the ease that comes after the hard work, like you don't work hard and then nothing happens. You work hard and something happens. That ease, that flow is just a sign of alignment to me. And so I kind of took it and ran with it, to be honest. But now I'm just rambling. I don't know if you took anything from that. But subscribe to the Wick Studios YouTube channel if you're not already, for like more of these insight type videos. I do want to do more of these, plus other content on here. Our magazine is available in London at Mag Culture, in Paris at Cahir Central, in Toronto at Issues Mag Shop, in New York at Casa. And you can order it online digitally. You can get the digital version. The link is in our description. Or you can go to wickstudios.com and get the physical issue. We will send it to Jamaica, Bahamas, and the States. But the other stores in the UK and Paris, they do ship worldwide, in case anyone was wondering. Thank you so much for watching this video. Hopefully you like it. Hopefully you found it useful. Hopefully somebody stumbles across this one day and it just helps one person. That's all that matters to me, really, is that this is out there into the ether. But I hope you support Wick. Follow us on Wick Hub everywhere: TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn. Bye.